The Aspiring Mortgage Bankers Committee has put together this fantastic educational webinar. You can all be on camera if you'd like. We did mute everyone's line because we have over 100 people registered. So if you have a question, just put that in the chat, and then at the end, we'll open it up for a few minutes for a Q&A. A little bit about the Aspiring Mortgage Bankers Committee is basically a talent incubator through the TMBA, connecting emerging mortgage professionals with the education, networking, and industry access needed to become future leaders within the TMBA. For educational information and scholarship questions through either the TMBA or the MBA, reach out to me or anyone on the TMBA board, and we're happy to direct you in that direction. So I would like to introduce our special guest today. Suha Zell is an executive leader, speaker, and best-selling author with over 35 years experience across technology, mortgage lending, and financial services. She is the founder of Z Technology Solutions, a tech advisory practice specializing in AI, business intelligence, and technology modernization. Suha holds the CMB and AMP designations through the MBA and TMBA, is a 2021 Housing Wire Women of Influence, and holds AI certifications from both MIT and Harvard Business School. Wow, we are in for a treat today. So Suha, take it over.
Hi, everybody, and thank you so much for having me, Ashley, and the Aspiring Mortgage Bankers Committee. I truly appreciate the opportunity to join you today. And I'm excited because one of the things that a lot of people struggle with is, how do I use AI? And how do I leverage it to a way that makes my life easier? Today is not about theory. Everything I'm going to show you today, you're going to be able to practice later on your own. We're going to share the labs that we're going to do. I believe that you'll have the recording so that you can actually follow and try it on your own. For the purposes of today's session, obviously, I'm going to be demonstrating those skills and practices. And I guess my first question is, and you can put it in the chat if you have time, how many have been using AI and how many have used it in the last 48 hours? Just put, say I have, or me, or whatever in the chat if you can. And then if you have a go-to AI tool, I'd love to know what it is. And as we start, one of the things that people ask me all the time, what do you do? So my bio is there. It'll be in the presentation. I really don't want to go through it. Ashley did a great job summarizing it. But what's really important is I'm a curious person. My mindset is always to be learning. And when AI burst on the scene, that was one of the first things I wanted to learn, is what is all this AI thing about? And one of the things that I want you to think about is, where are you personally on your AI journey? This is a great little visual that one of my mentors, if you will, shares in her presentations. And I absolutely think it's phenomenal, because it allows you to think of yourself as either the captain or somebody who's struggling, like if you're number 12, you're trying to catch up and to everything that's happening. Are you number 20, just sitting on an island, don't really care what's going on? Are you so overwhelmed that you are vomiting over the side of the boat? Are you just throwing things at the wall and trying to see what sticks? Think about that. Sometimes I find myself in all of these positions, because it's so, this technology is changing so fast that people really are struggling, and there's fear, there's excitement, there's curiosity, and how you move around and how you navigate that, you can find yourself in any of these, really positions. But today's session is really about prompting, and how do we use prompting to become better at artificial intelligence, at using artificial intelligence. And really what I tell in all of my workshops is, it really comes down to three things. It comes down to the prompt itself, it comes down to knowing who your audience is, and it comes down to the tone and the voice that you use. If you think of it, of a POV as your point of view, PAV is how you leverage AI properly so that you can do more with less. So we're going to start with a small exercise. We're going to try to do a generic prompt, and then we're going to do an optimized prompt. So this is going to be like our initial lab today. And the first generic prompt that we're going to use is just going to say, write me a Facebook post for first-time home buyers. So it's really very, very simple. I'm not telling the model anything in particular, what I want it to do. I'm just saying, write me a post. So as you can see, I've switched my screen so you can see now the different tools that I use. I use ChatGPT, I use Gemini, I use Claude, I use Perplexity. And there's also other ones that are available out there. I use these pretty much interchangeably depending on what I'm trying to do. So let's start out with that first prompt that I said we're going to write. So I'm going to paste the prompt in here. I'm just going to say, write a Facebook post for first-time home buyers. And it comes back with a pretty generic, response. Your output is pretty generic. Thinking about buying your first home, it's one of the biggest and most exciting steps you can take, blah, blah, blah. Whether you're tired of renting, turn someday into today, and blah, blah, blah. It really doesn't have much meat, right? Because we didn't give it that much information. Let's run this again. And now let's give it some more details of what we're trying to do. So I'm actually going to copy my prompt. I have another window open with my prompt. And this time I'm actually telling it, you're a seasoned mortgage loan officer who specializes in helping young professionals in the medical and law fields who are first-time home buyers. I've already set the stage now. I'm telling the model who I am and who I serve. Write an engaging and warm Facebook post in my voice on how you can help this group of customers achieve their dream of home ownership. Focus on educating this client base and provide key steps they can do now to start this process. Create an image of a young couple standing in front of their home with a sold sign. So rather than just doing this very generic prompt, I actually gave it a lot of information. If you remember PAV, so I have now told it what my prompt is, what I need it to do. I've told it who my audience is, and I've also told it what I want it to generate from an image perspective and the content that I want it to generate for me. And this time when let's continue with Google. So now you can see it's actually coming up with a much better post, much longer. It's got steps now that tells it exactly what they need to do, starting from understanding their numbers, reviewing their credit, understanding what, their down payment and savings plan are, what their loan options are, how they get pre-approved. It's very tailored now to this group of customers. And it also goes, what I love about those AI models is they actually always come back with offers and options for you to improve that. So they kind of like through natural language, they're kind of guiding you, well, what's the next step? How can I improve this? And so you could create follow-ups, like sample LinkedIn or an Instagram reel. Obviously, you want to know where your clients are so that you can focus which social media content you're going to create. So when we look at those two and we look at the difference between what it created from that first generic prompt, and then when I gave it more information, how much more details it created, that really signals the importance of understanding the PAV of prompting, because that's really what's going to drive your success. I'm going to stop here and see if there's any questions before we move on. So we wrote our first prompt, we wrote our second prompt, and we saw how much difference there was between the two. And the key message I want to leave you with here is, I know it sounds horrible, but garbage in, garbage out. We didn't give it a lot of information for that first post, so it really didn't give us a lot of content that we can use. But when we provided more information, it actually gave us much better content that we can then tweak and leverage and make it our own before we post it. Same goal, really, but you just ended up with very different results because you made the AI smarter. You gave it the information it needs to provide you with a better response, with a better outcome.
Suha, can you repeat what PAV stands for again? Someone asked that.
Sure, absolutely. So P is the prompt, and we're going to go through them one by one. A is the audience, and V is your voice. Those three things, let me go back to it actually. So those three kind of pillars of prompting is what makes the models work better for you. By knowing how to prompt, making sure it's not generic, making sure that you know who the audience that you're trying to communicate with is, and making sure that you're using your own voice. And we're going to go through these three things as we dive into more labs. All right, so mastering the prompt. I'm a huge Star Trek fan, so I love Mr. Spock. So I actually put this acronym based on that. And really, to master the prompt, there's 4 parts to it. The S, which is defining the situation. The P, which is identifying your persona, who you are, not the audience, it's who you are. So who are you asking the AI to be? If you remember in my second prompt, I said, you are a seasoned mortgage loan officer. That's the persona. You describe the outcome, what you want. So I told it, I want you to write an engaging and warm Facebook ad, Facebook post in my voice to educate those clients. And I want you to create an image for me of the couple standing in front of their home. So I defined and I described what my outcome is. And then I give it more context. I said they were first-time home buyers. If you remember, I said they were in the medical and law field. So there are specific loan programs designed for professionals in law and in the medical field because of their student loans and stuff like that. So I was very specific in providing that context to make sure that the response that I get, the outcome that I get, is what I'm looking for. So mastering the prompt, Spock, remember Suha loves Star Trek, and she really enjoys Mr. Spock's character. Define the situation, identify your persona, describe the outcome, and give more context. Defining your audience. The detailed description of your target audience is really critical so that the AI model can tailor the content it's going to create for you. For example, a first-time homebuyer in their 20s who is concerned about their debt, who doesn't really know much about home ownership, is a very different audience than somebody buying their 5th investment property that is actually, later in their career. The AI needs to know these contextual details to make sure that what it's generating for you is actually going to resonate with the audience that you're trying to reach. So think about, who is your ideal client right now? Who is it that you want 20 more of today? Because the demographics of that target audience is really how you define the context. Where do they live? Where are they in their career? What behavioral traits do they have? What are their goals? Do they have any challenges? What are they motivated by? Knowing all of this as you're prompting creates a much better result for you, which you can use later. So in your head, just think about, oops, it went to voice. In your head, think about who your top client is and what are some of the things that they are concerned about. Because we're going to use those, or actually I should say, when you run these labs later, you're going to use those. So you want to make sure that you've defined who your audience is, because that will help you as you're prompting and actually practicing with these labs, with these prompts. And the third part is the PAV. Of the PAV is your voice. Because the last thing you want AI, how many of you have gone on social media and you go, I know AI wrote this. This is so formulaic. This is so monotonous. This is so generic. It doesn't sound like anybody would talk or say. And that's because the person who used that just took the output and put it in. Either they did not describe what their tone and their voice is to the model, or they didn't actually do what you're never supposed to do, which is take the outcome and post it directly without tweaking it. So how do you show up online with your personal brand? That's your voice. That's what we want to make sure we're teaching the AI about. And the question is, how do we do that? There's a couple of ways. If you've been posting online, you can actually upload a couple of your writing styles, a couple of your posts, and say, hey, this is what I sound like. I want you to write in this tone. Or you could just give it like a brief of your voice description, a voice brief. It's just a short paragraph that describes how you communicate, what your tone is, your personality, the kind of words you use. Do you use emojis? Are there words that you avoid? What's your energy level? Are you a calm person? Are you always excited? Whether you're formal or casual. These are all things that define your voice and your tone. And the more descriptive you are about that, the better the results that you will get from the models that you're using. So here's an example. I'm going to actually copy that and I'm going to put it in Perplexity because I want it to use that going forward as my tone, as my voice. So I'm going to tell it, I'm direct, warm, and conversational. I don't use jargon or corporate speak. I use short sentences. I occasionally use humor and emojis. I never use the word utilize. And I say that in my voice brief because that tells it those kind of words, utilize, incorporate, augment, whatever, those are very formulaic. So you want to stay away from them. And I write like I talk. So now it's actually understanding, okay, so this is, and it came back with, got it, that's super helpful. Here's a revised Facebook post in your voice. So now it's actually changed it to make it sound more like me, which is really at the end of the day, what you want to do when you're going online. Go back to the presentation. In one of your last presentations that the Aspiring Mortgage Bankers Committee had for you, this is one of the things that you discussed is the 4 pillars of sales, with talking about the foundation, the framework, the keystone, and the fortification. I'm not sure how many of you attended that session, but really the labs that we're going to do are building on these 4 pillars. How do I use AI to actually get each of these pillars to work to my advantage? So I just wanted to share this with you to kind of set the tone of the labs that we're going to be doing. So the foundation pillar, that's really when you're doing your initial contact. That's when you're really trying to use AI to actually build those relationships that you're trying to nurture. And in the first lab, we're going to try to do is build your prospect hit list. So the scenario that we're using is that you're targeting referral partners. A lot of LOs do that. A lot of mortgage bankers do that. Specifically, you're looking for real estate agents who work with first-time home buyers in your local market. So I tried to do in the lab, I tried to specify the P, the prompt, the audience, and the voice so that we can actually test this. Again, you're going to get these and you can run those yourself and you can do the updates. So for example, in your turn, add your city and market. So when you are practicing these, you can actually modify the prompts because you're going to get them so that you can actually practice on your own. But for now, I'm actually going to take the prompt audience and voice, and I'm actually going to plug it into Perplex. Actually, let's try a different one. I'm going to try Claude now. I want to try a different one. So I'm telling it, prompt, help me create the targeted outreach, who my audience is, and the voice that I want to use. And I really do that. I alternate between multiple tools. I'll take the same prompt and run it in different ones and then get the different information because they each provide, there's similarities, but there's also differences. And so you want to run your prompts through the different tools and see what you're getting, because then you can actually modify it and tweak it. Take something from Claude, something from Perplexity, makes it much more unique and much more you. So here's your targeted outreach list for Houston, Texas. So I told it that I was doing in Houston, Texas, right here in my prompt. That was my city and market. So it's telling me where to find them. It's telling me the places where I can go to find my list. Remember, I asked it for a strategy. Help me create a target outreach list strategy to reach this audience. It's telling me where I can look for them, what to prioritize. So look at posts, comments, if they mention FHA, because that's really great for first-time home buyers. Are they engaging with other lenders in your area? Are they active in HAR? Then it tells you how to segment it. So now you've got your list, so you could use all the different tools to actually get that list. Now it tells you how you segment it. Next, it tells you how to reach out to them. So it's giving you that strategy to build your target list. One of the things that you could do is you could take this outcome and actually put it in like a presentation AI tool like Gamma, Gamma, and that will actually create a presentation for you with this information that then you can share with your team so that you can help each other get better. How do you track and refine? And then, as I said, AI tools really love to give you more. There's more. One reframe worth keeping. These agents aren't just referral sources, they're workflow partners. So it's actually helping you understand how to work with these partners, with this list that you're actually creating. And then it actually tells you, do you want me to draft an actual DM or a LinkedIn message template in your voice to build out a simple tracking form? So it's actually helping you. Hey, what's the next step? Do you want me to help you with this? And these right here are really important. This is how you train the model that you're using, whether you like what it said or not. That's your thumbs up and thumbs down. If you haven't been using that, I really strongly suggest you do that, because that's how it learns what you like versus what you don't like from the outcome that it's giving you. And that's how it becomes more tailored to you, yourself. And like I said, there's all these different models. All of them have free accounts. So you don't have to pay for anything if you don't want to. Obviously, with a paid account, you get more functionality, but that's really, up to you. I probably pay for only Claude because that's the one I use for a lot of my deep research. But for the other ones, I really don't pay for them because I get what I need without having to pay. So as you practice, try these different models, make sure that you're actually finding one that speaks your language, if you will, to make sure that it's actually giving you the information and it's actually working with you the way you want it to. Any questions? I don't know. I haven't been looking at the chat, so I don't know if there's any questions that are coming up. Ashley or Corey, if you guys want to ping me if there's something to answer, that would be great. Otherwise, I'm going to keep going.
Yeah, keep going. There's nothing yet. I'll let you know.
Sorry, I talk a lot, so I have to take a sip of water. All right. So the second lab that we're going to do is another thing that a lot of mortgage bankers struggle with: reluctance. Your customer doesn't want to move forward. And there's a way that you can leverage AI to help you in your outreach calls, in how you approach them, cold calling, that kind of stuff. So in this lab, we're going to see how AI can help me reset my mindset so that I can actually do more of this calling and more of this outreach in a more natural, organic way. So you can see I've got my prompt, I've got my audience and my voice. I'm struggling with making proactive outreach calls. Here's what I'm asking it. The prompt is to create a mindset framework and a practical daily routine. So those are the two things I'm asking it to provide me that helps me build momentum and show up consistently without dreading the phone. Who I am: I'm a mortgage loan officer, experienced, but avoids cold outreach. I know the value, but I still hesitate. I respond well to practical structure over motivation speeches. And the voice that I want to use is I'm candid and self-aware. I prefer direct, no fluff advice. Keep it grounded and achievable, not inspirational. So don't tell me reach for the sky. Tell me do 1, 2, 3. I'm very practical. So let's copy the prompt and put it in. We'll use a different one today. Let's go with Gemini. So again, I've told it what my prompt is, my audience, and my voice. And the reason I'm alternating them is I want you to see the different models that are out there. I've limited it to 4 because we've got 4 pillars and 4, I'm trying to do about 8 labs today. So I just want to make sure that you guys are getting the nuances of the different tools that are out there.
You're getting feedback. Oh my God, this is great. Is everyone else just as amazed as I am? So keep going. This is fantastic.
Awesome. I'm glad.
Yeah.
So outreach is just a repetitive administrative task that happens to involve human on the other end. The dread usually comes from overthinking the rejection or the salesiness of it, when in reality, it's just data entry for your pipeline. I mean, so that's that mindset shift that it's guiding you and coaching you with. Here's a grounded mindset shift and mechanical routine to get the phone moving without the mental drama. And then it gives you the framework. It starts to go through it. You can copy this, put it in a Word document, look at it every day. Like I said, you can put it in Gamma and create. I'm actually going to do that while I'm going to let it run in the background. You can see it's actually pretty long. So I'm just going to go in here. I'm going to start Gamma because I do want to show you. I'm going to create a new. I'm going to paste in my text. I want to create a presentation. I'm going to put my text in here, and I just want to generate it from the notes that I provided. It's now, I'm telling it do free form so that I want it to tell me like how many, and they call them cards. A card is a slide. So it's going to do 10 cards. I'm just going to tell it generate. If you haven't used Gamma, Gamma is amazing, by the way. And no, I don't get any kickbacks from them. I wish. It's done a presentation for me. It took it, 2 seconds? Outreach without the drama. It's just data entry. So as you can see, it's now building it one by one. But let's go back to Gemini. And we'll come back to Gamma, and you can see the final presentation that it created. So it's giving you that mindset strategy that you can use on a daily basis. Using the low stakes, the no fluff daily routine, how you prepare, what to do the night before, executing in the morning. When are you best in the morning? Are you a 10 to 12? So it even gives it to you by hour blocks. At the end of the day, review what you've done, practical tactics to reduce the friction. So it's actually giving you all of that information. And now you can actually take that, like I said, copy it. Copy is right here. So you can just copy it right here, put it in a Word document, do what I did. As you can see, it's now finished almost with my presentation. You can actually do an internal training for your team just by doing this. You saw it took me 2 seconds to just actually go through, run the prompt, copy the information, put it in Gamma, outreach without the drama. I mean, it made it really, it took the blank, really generic output that we got from Gemini, and now it created a presentation for me that I can actually train my team on how to overcome cold call hesitation. The 3 rules, separate strategy from execution, how to prepare the night before, the morning execution block, inside the iron hour. It's walking you through step by step on how you do this. Is this something that's helpful for you? Is that something that would, that you would be using and leveraging on a daily basis? I think so, because everybody hates cold calling. Let's be honest about that, right?
So good.
All right. So we're going to move into the second pillar, which is the framework, how you build rapport, how you build those relationships, and how you turn those meetings to a lasting referral partnership with those real estate agents and whoever else, the builders, the people that you're actually engaging with. So the third lab that we're going to do is creating natural conversation starters. Not everybody is outgoing. Not everybody can just come up to somebody and start talking to them. Sometimes you struggle. And so we're going to leverage these tools, these AI tools, to help us building that genuine rapport with the person that I'm meeting with. And one of the methods, the frameworks that the previous presentation talked about was the Ford method, which is looking at the family, occupation, recreation, and dreams. There was another framework that they also used that they talked about as well in that presentation, but this is the one that we're going to focus on. So my prompt is to create 10 natural conversational questions using the Ford method that helped me build genuine rapport with my partner. I'm meeting for the first time. Questions should feel like real conversation, not an interview. Yeah, so you don't want, what do you do? How can I help you? What do you need? You actually want it to be more conversational. My audience is real estate agents, mid-30s to 40s, likely entrepreneurial and independent, and then my voice. So now if I copy this, and again, in all of these, when you get the labs, you've got your turn, so you can run the prompt and then you can do the additional bonus labs of how you can actually get this to be more personalized for you. And now if I go in here, I haven't used ChatGPT, so let's use ChatGPT for this one. So I'm just giving it my prompt, my audience, and my voice. So it's telling me, it's a great tool to use the Ford framework. And then here's some 10 conversational questions that you could use when you're meeting somebody about the family, about the occupation, recreation, dreams. And then it provides you with a few natural follow-ups that you could use in that situation so that you can keep that conversation going without it feeling structured or very unnatural. And again, it gives you a one subtle trust builder, especially for agents burnt out by vendors. Don't bring them another donut or coffee. It gives you another conversational icebreaker. I'm always curious what agents with lenders wish lenders understood better about their work, about their world. You're creating an open-ended question that's you're showing that it's about them, not about you, which I know you've heard before. You always want to make it about the other person. So it just gives you hints about how you can improve that conversation. And again, it offers to do more. So I'm just going to say yes. So it said, I can also give you 5 settled transition questions to move the conversation from rapport to referral partnership. So I said yes. So it's now giving me, here's 5 smooth transitions. Again, it just builds on the initial prompt that I gave it and provides more information that I can use. And then it gives me more bonus. So I can keep the conversation with it going to provide me more information. I will caution you, you can do that and you end up in a rabbit hole 3 hours later because you keep asking, it keeps offering and it keeps asking. So keep in mind, what is your goal, what you're trying to do. It's a great way to learn. It's a great way to tweak, but you don't want to spend 3 hours on this one chat trying to get, and forget what you actually initially started with, right? So you just want to be, a little bit more cognizant about that. So in the bonus, it asks you, pick your top 3 questions, test them out with another person. So again, this could be a team building exercise, and you could refine it. So let's say you chose 3 questions, tell it to actually refine, improve those questions to make them more conversational or reframe for a different partner type. So maybe you're working with a builder or a settlement agent or something like that, where you're meeting with them to create that referral partnership. So you can actually ask it to tweak those questions for a different audience now that you've used now that you like the questions that it built for you. And building your conversational toolkit. So the scenarios you want to walk in prepared. Obviously, you don't want to show up and not have any information to provide. Remember, this is about them, not about you. So the prompt is to help me build a conversation toolkit for meetings with referral partners. 3 brief client success stories, very specific, 60 seconds each, 2 current market statistics relevant to your market, so you can tell it which market you're in, because that makes it more personal, who the audience is and who the voice is. Again, we're going to copy these.
Suha, one question really quick. We got in, and I've had this question before, and I think you addressed it at the Houston Mortgage Bankers luncheon, but not everyone was there. Do you ask AI to help you build the prompt as a starting point?
I have done that, and that's one thing that we did do at the Houston MBA. So a lot of times, let's try that with this particular prompt. So I'm actually going to show you. So I'm going to copy the prompt and the audience and the voice. I'm going to actually put it into the model. Let's go back into Claude. Improve this prompt for me. So I took the prompt that I had, which helped me build a conversational toolkit for meeting, blah, blah, blah. Here's my, and I actually said this time I'm in Austin, Texas. So that's my market, who my audience is and who my voice is. And I don't want it to actually run the prompt. I want it to improve the prompt. So I wrote the prompt, but now I want it to improve it for me. So this is really what I'm asking it to do. This right here, improve the prompt for me. I'm not asking it to run this. So when I do that, here's a sharpened version of that prompt. And now it actually it actually makes it a lot more detailed. And then it explains why it made those changes. So the original prompt was solid in structure, but left too much room for generic output. Perfect. So now it's actually the key upgrades, named scenario, real obstacle, measurable. So it actually took what I wrote and made it better. Now I can actually run this. And see what it comes back with. And I'm actually going to run the same prompt. Let's do it in Gemini. I'm going to start a new chat here now, because I want to see the differences between the 2 models, what I get from each of them. So
Suha, another question that came in, is this a system prompt? I've heard you can create repeatable system prompts.
You can create a library of prompts that you reuse, if that's what you mean by a system prompt. I'm not sure who asked it. If that's what they mean, then yes, you can actually create a prompt library that you name, and then you could say, use this prompt from my prompt library, and then tell it what to do. Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
So you can see in Claude, here's my toolkit, client success stories, the clear to close that almost wasn't, the pre-approval that actually held, the self-employed buyer nobody wanted to touch. Let's look at what Gemini came with. So in Gemini, the client success stories is the rate lock breakout, so a different scenario, the pre-appraisal pivot, another different scenario, the contingency bridge. So we got 6 different scenarios, 3 that Claude came up with and 3 that Gemini came up with. And I bet you if we ran this in Perplexity, if we ran it in ChatGPT, you may get some similar, but you may get some different scenarios as well. And that's why, like I said, I run these prompts in different tools, different models, and then pick the best of what I like, depending on what my goal is. So if I go back to Claude, Austin market statistics, days on market, price reduction and negotiations. In Gemini, it talks about the activity index divergence and resale inventory plateau. So for me, for example, I may like the days on market, and I may like the resale inventory plateau. Those may be the 2 things that I want to talk, to build as part of my conversation toolkit. Peer level opening question. We're seeing nearly 48% of active listing in the Austin metro area take at least one price reduction right now. What are you seeing, kind of thing? So you're creating conversational starters and toolkits with your referral partner. Let's see what it came up with. What part of the transaction that costs you the most time? Not the deal that falls apart, but the ones that barely make it. Again, very different question, very different mindset, very different perspective for the same prompt that we provided, right? So this is why it's very important to see what you get when you use different prompts, different models. Hopefully that answered the question about, using the model to actually improve the prompt.
Yes, it did. Thank you.
So the third pillar that we had is the closing skills. How you read the room, how you meet clients where they are and how they want to be handled, and making sure that you're actually acting as their trusted advisor so that you're not pushing them, pressuring them into making decisions, but helping them. So sell them their way, whether they are head, heart, or gut. Do they follow their head? Are they logical? Do they follow their heart? Are they emotional? Do they follow their gut? Are they instinctive? So you have a client who has all the financials ready but keeps stalling. You need to figure out how they make decisions so that you can close accordingly. We've got the prompt here. Again, I've got my prompt, my audience, and my voice. So let's pull it in. And I actually, some of the, it says describe 2 or 3 behaviors that you're noticing. So this is where you would have to actually provide that information into the model, obviously, to make sure that it's providing you the outcome that you're looking for. Let's start a new chat in Claude. And, they could be, they could be asking you for more information. They want more data. That's why they're not making a decision. Or they keep saying, what do you think? They keep asking each other, if it's a husband and wife, what do you think? Is this the right move? Or they keep, asking the same questions over and over. Is this the best rate we're going to get? Is this the best house? We're not ready, but they don't know why they're not ready. Those are the kind of stalling tactics that they can. So I'm just going to use 3 of those, which I wrote here. So here's 3 behaviors I've noticed. So I'm saying they keep revisiting the same concerns repeatedly. They say we're just not ready yet, but can't explain why. They keep looking at new listings even after seeing homes they liked. And then I'm telling it, give me a tailored closing approach for each type. So, and again, this is, as you leverage those tools, this becomes more instinctive. This becomes more readily available for you, on how you're going to prompt, making sure that you're using the PAV in every single prompt that you're using. So reading the signals based on the 3 behaviors together, this client is almost certainly a gut decision maker with a secondary heart layer. So it looked at those 3 behaviors that we noticed, that you noticed when you're talking with them, and why they keep stalling. And it's saying that these are people instinctive. They're gut people. They follow their gut. And now it's telling you how you can approach them to help them make the right decision, not force them into the decision, but help them make the right decision. So because if they're gut instinct based, name what's happening gently. I noticed that, even after a home checks all the boxes, something feels off. Can I ask, what does ready actually feel for you? So you're actually engaging them and helping them understand why are they hesitating. Again, it gives you multiple options of how you can move the conversation forward so that they can actually close on the house of their dream. The through line for your style specifically, you don't need to close them. You need to help them close themselves. So that's actually, it's guiding you in how you guide them to make the right decision. And I actually do like that question, what does ready actually look like for you? That's actually a very telling question for somebody who follows their gut. But actually, I like that. And, we all, as we're making that close, many LOs pitch products, many mortgage bankers are pitching products, but you want to actually uncover what your client really needs and be ahead of that curve so that you're offering the solution before they even know that they need it. Kind of like what AI is doing when it keeps asking me, do you want me to do this as well? Do you want me to do this as well? But wait, there's more. So you're acting in not just the advisory role, but you're actually kind of skating where the puck is going, to quote Wayne Gretzky. You're actually realizing what they need before they even know it, and then giving them the options for that. So the prompt is you want a needs discovery question framework with 8 to 10 probing questions that you can use when you're talking to the client. This helps you understand what their motivation is. Again, who the audience is and what your voice is. So let's run this one and see what we get. Again, you're going to get all these labs. You'll be able to test all of them yourself. So I'm using ChatGPT for this one. For an initial homebuyer consultation, the goal is not to jump into rates or products. It's to understand their story, their timing, and what success actually looks like for them. And so it gives you step by step, guide by guide, how you start that conversation and the questions to ask. So before you jump into taking their 1003, their IRLA, their application, before you talk about rates and products and what works, learn about them, understand what their motivation is. And it goes through those 10 questions, and and it gives you a simple flow. So you can actually have this ready, and you just go through it and collect that information. The key here is to make sure that you're capturing that information and that you do something with it, obviously. I actually want to run this in Perplexity as well, because I want to see what questions Perplexity comes up with. So it came up with kind of similar questions, but it's putting them in a different voice, different lens. So you may, for example, I actually love this question, defining home. When you picture the right home for you, what comes to mind first? I think that's a very telling question. ChatGPT didn't come up with that. That wasn't one of their questions. Again, this is why you use different tools and use the best from both of them to create that scenario that you are looking for. Again, it walks you through the 10 questions. Now, in Perplexity, if you noticed in ChatGPT, it gave us a conversation flow. Perplexity didn't do that. It just says these questions flow naturally from why and what matters to how and when. So it actually built it for you that way, in that natural flow. And then it offers, would you like me to turn this into a printable version that you can print and take with you, or a digital version or whatever. Again, it's just a way that you're leveraging those tools to be better and do better. This is what I tell everybody in all my workshops. The goal with all of this is to not just be better, but to do better so that you can continue to be successful. And the last pillar, I see we've got about 10 minutes, so I'm going to run through this. I always run out of time, is the follow-up. And so there's two, the first lab is to do a follow-up campaign for those who are not ready. So we've got our prompt, our audience, and our voice. And this time I'm doing a 90-day follow-up. So I'm asking it to create a 90-day follow-up campaign. So I'm going to put this quickly into Gemini. So the 90-day trusted advisor sequence is designed to keep you top of mind by providing genuine utility. Each touch point is short, blah, blah, blah. So now it's created, emails. These are either emails, texts, direct messages, however you want to handle them. And it's just giving you an opportunity to create that touch point between you and that customer who wasn't ready over the 90-day check-in. So you've done, day 1, day 3, day 15, day 30, day 45, day 60, day 75, day 90. So, more at the beginning and then gradually, stretching it out until you hit that 90-day time frame. And the other one that we're going to do is referral request scripts, because nobody likes to ask for referrals, and you can actually have the model help you create a script to ask for referrals. Again, I'll put this into the model.
While you're doing that, one person noted, recommend, this has all been very generic, but recommend users understand and follow their company AI use policies.
Absolutely.
The company provides a secure internal large language model. Remind the obvious, never add borrower data to a prompt where borrower data becomes public information in the AI wilds.
Absolutely. I did not go into the whole governance, data privacy at the beginning of this. Usually I start with that because it's very critical that we understand that this is all open source, and whatever you put in is going to be used to train, and it becomes public knowledge. So you never want to put private information, anything that's considered PII or company private information. Definitely make sure that you're following your compliance, your compliance and legal teams AI use policy. For me, this becomes a given that you don't go against what your company's policies are, because each company is different. They have different use case AI use policies and governance frameworks. And I can't cover them all. So that's kind of like the preemptive thing, is make sure that you adhere to your company policy. And again, we see that it's created different scripts for how you can ask somebody for referrals here. Yes, these are a little generic, as I'm not sure who asked the question, but each one of those can be tweaked and improved. This is all a starting point on how you get better at prompting. And the goal of this was to give you an opportunity to see the things that you can actually do with AI using those models. Leveraging the presentation tools, we didn't go into video, for example, today, leveraging video tools. All of this is designed to help you be better and do better, obviously. I don't know, I think we've got about 5-10 minutes. So we've come to the end. I want to make sure that I give an opportunity for everybody to see if there's any questions that they'd like to answer. If you'd like to connect with me, that's my QR code, my LinkedIn QR code. Please feel free to connect. Reference that you were on the webinar. If you have any questions, I'm always available. I may take about 24 hours to respond, a business day to respond, but I always do respond. You've got my email here.
We do have a question. Do you offer individual sessions?
I do. And that was going to be the next thing I was going to say. If you'd like to work one-on-one, I'm absolutely available to do that and would welcome the opportunity. Absolutely.
This has been wonderful. Any questions, throw them in the chat. But while you have Suha's undivided attention, this was so great. I took so many notes and learned even more than I did at the luncheon last month. Okay, tip, I use lavender.ai to grade and improve my email content. Lavender AI grades the message against millions of successful emails and against successful email frameworks. I keep the message at a 6th grade reading level.
Yep. And that's actually one of the things that you could do with your, when you're saying your voice or the audience, you could say write in a 6th grade level or write. I usually use a 10th grade level, not 6th personally. And for some things that are a little bit more detailed, I say a college senior. So, but I do try to leave it at that level, not at a professional level, unless I'm presenting to executives. That's a different story. Yeah.
Great information. Everybody's wonderful information.
And Ashley, I will email you the presentation so that you can forward it to the team to those who were registered, in case they want to try these on their own, and that way they'll have all the labs that we did. Perfect.
I put my contact, and then you can also reach out to Corey or Natalie at TMBA, and they will be happy to share it as well.
Awesome.
Curious how much individual coaching / training sessions might run.
It really just depends on whether you want a one-off or if you want like several sessions. It starts from like $50 to $100 per hour. And if you decide to go with multiple sessions, then obviously that reduces the cost.
Very reasonable. That's awesome. Everybody's thank you. Wonderful. Great information. Yes. We can stay on for a few more minutes just in case someone has anything, but it looks like people are starting to drop off. Everybody's saying thank you. Great information. This was awesome. And also, if you were not on our webinar in December with Josh and you want a copy of that presentation or the recording, please reach out to me. I do have that. Natalie and Corey have that as well, and I'm happy to share that so you can kind of see how we built this to progress in using AI to help from that, like a stepping stone here. So, Suha, thank you very much. This was wonderful.
Everyone.
I really appreciate your time and your energy, and everything was great. So, everyone's great session. Thank you. So, wonderful.
Actually, I have a one question for you. I know this was recorded. Are you sending it out to those who were registered?
I don't know if TMBA does that. Corey, do you want to chime in there? I think if people ask for it, but I don't.
I'm not sure that we have the emails. I've never sent it out to everyone.
Okay. Would since it is recorded, would you be able to send it to me?
Yes.
Awesome. Thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah. Okay.
Awesome. Well, thank you, everybody.
Have a great day. Everyone. Have a great day.
Take care.
somebody's still in it. Maybe push it. And
Hello?